What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's me, Walter Tuomi, representing NeoDefective Gaming, where you can find me on twitch.tv/NeoDefective, and you can also find me on Instagram and Twitter at NeoDefective, here, there, everywhere, at NeoDefective. Go figure. Today's video is going to be covering a lot of news. This week was a crazy week. My family's pretty much just all sick. My son got it first, then my girl got it. Now my daughter's probably due up next. My son doesn't really know how to cover his mouth yet. He's only 3 years old. We have to keep telling him, cover your mouth when you cough. Besides the point. Right now, we got a lot of things to get into, right? So I'm just trying to cover the bases. It's kind of a meaty video, so just stick with me. This whole week was crazy news. I mean, Tokyo Game Show 2021 pretty much was going on. A lot of things got released. A lot of information came out. Some people might not care about all the information, all the games that are coming out. I mean, we have Forspoken, which I'm actually a big fan of. Basically, the writers. You got Gary Whitta, who co-wrote Rogue One. He also wrote The Book of Eli. I mean, those are cool movies, right? You also have Amy Hennig, who wrote the story to my childhood, which was Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver. The entire series. Like, I went in that so hard. Didn't ever think that that was gonna be something that I was gonna be totally into, but I knew that script like the back of my hand. Like, there was days that I'd be walking to school and I'd be thinking about the script. I'd be reciting it in my head because of how much I love that series. So that is Forspoken, right? A little bit of information got released on that. You also have Monster Hunter Rise, the release date coming to Steam. We also have Sony, who acquired Bluepoint Games, good or bad. I don't know, you be the judge. I'm kind of a bit on the bad side. I don't really think that's going to be a good thing in the long run. And then you also have Konami, who's trying to mend their ways, or at least Money and Sony are trying to mend their ways with Hideo Kojima. It's basically a little give and take, a little tug of war action happening there, a la Squid Games. But let's get right into it, ladies and gentlemen. Crazy days. Okay, so this one comes from Isaiah Colbert at Kotaku, pretty much saying that the new Final Fantasy Origins trailer is actually pretty cool. Now, you guys who love your Final Fantasy, and I'm new to this. I love Final Fantasy as well, but I'm a newcomer. Was there some meme heavy stuff in this? Oh yeah, there was some of the most insane memey type of interactions in these videos. For one thing, the new character Jack, right, tells one of the other characters who's going on this whole rant that what she's saying is bullshit. He literally just says bullshit, turns around, got his earbuds in, and starts his phone music player. The whole entire actual trailer of the gameplay was pretty sick, dude. I'm not gonna lie. Look, Team Ninja's at the helm, and they make great action games, and it does look a little Souls-like, a little bit more like Neo, not me, the game, and that's not a bad thing. I think that's something you can come away with as a selling point. Yeah, it's a retelling of the Origins. It kind of gets away a little bit as from the whole Final Fantasy arc of things, but they also have released the targeted release date, which was March 18th, 2022. A lot of games seem to be coming out again, as always, almost every year now. You can pretty much bank that it's going to be February or March. A lot of those games don't hit those marks. Those are actually high priority marks. I think a lot of what the developers are doing now is they're setting this bar. Like, everybody that's just release games in February, and when they see what games and what developers are also gonna actually aim for that window and really hit that target, they push their game out, because now they have a little bit more leeway, a little bit more reason to sell copies. Like, they don't want to compete with other high-end games that are going to be coming out in those months. So it's more of a strategy. I think everybody gets all hyped. Oh my gosh, February. You're really not going to get a February launch date, or maybe not even March for some of these games. So that if there's a much more, how do I say, a much more AAA involved game, other games like Final Fantasy Origin are not going to release during that month. They're going to push back to another date, because they don't want to lose on those sales where they get pushed to the side. It's just common business practice, I would say. So just grain of salt when it comes to that release date. But the trailer looks cool. I mean, look at this thing. To me, it looks like Neo. It looks a little bit like the Souls series. But I'm still sold on it. It's, yeah, okay, the whole aspect of the game is going to be weird. It's going to be wonky. But can you appreciate the fact that they're doing this? They're really hammering home the more modern vibe that is currently going on with, I think, Final Fantasy games in general, a la Final Fantasy 15. So no Final Fantasy 16 information, so you guys calm down. Anyways, moving on. All right, now we have Forspoken. This one brought to you by GameSpot as far as this video goes. Look, I'm not gonna lie, I think this game is actually gonna be fantastic. The story for sure. There's no way the story fails on any level. Gary Whitta is a huge gamer outside of writing for movies and AAA budget studios like Sony and Lucasfilm and things like that. And you have Amy Hennig, who's written some of the best games of all time in the Uncharted series. You have the Legacy of Kain series, as I said before. That's just a tip of the iceberg for these people, all right? These people are now teaming up to make a story on a Square Enix game that is called Forspoken, which kind of has these crazy elements where you can traverse different timelines. It kind of reminds me of Soul Reaver, in which you go to the spectral realm and then also be in the physical realm, and they're completely different, but you have to solve puzzles in both realms that coincide with each other in some weird way. This kind of gives off that vibe in which you have to go into the fantasy realm and also your current life, in which your current life probably sucks. Your fantasy realm obviously going to be probably the much better of the two, but more dangerous, obviously, like you're more perilous. It looks fantastic. Look at this game. The whole, I think they went into the magical parkour. Like, there's a lot of magic parkour, and you can see that right here. That she has the rope that she's tying herself to. She can survive huge drops, and the character also looks beautiful. She's a beautiful looking character. I think she's gonna also nail her performance. This is probably one of the biggest games that are gonna come out that nobody's really talking about, and that's a shame. But I'm really telling you guys, this is probably gonna be one of the standouts when it does come out for the PS5. It's gonna be blowing people's heads away. I can tell you that this is probably gonna be a Forspoken 2 and 3, maybe even something down the lines. I think it's gonna hit those kind of checkpoints, those milestones. So you guys, pay attention to this, all right? Pay attention to Forspoken. Keep this one on your radar. It's gonna be awesome. So we also have Monster Hunter Rise, which I was looking forward to before I found out it was just gonna be on the Switch at first, at launch. But now that we actually have a confirmed PC release date on January 12th, 2022, had to look at my phone. That is finally something I'm gonna be able to play. I've been really wanting to play it. I haven't played a lot of it on Switch. I bought it on Switch and I never played it. It's one of those things, I had too much stuff going on. Not enough time for the Nintendo Switch at certain intervals when I wanted to play this game, I couldn't do it. I was playing more family games with my Switch. I couldn't really pull this one up without getting scolded by my son, who wanted to play like Mario Party or Mario Kart or just Mario games in general. Like, I couldn't do anything. I was like, all right, well, when I go into my room, the business center right here, that's where I play the real games, with the games I want to play. But when I go into the living room and I try to pull up my Switch, yeah, we're not playing anything. We're not playing this game. So now that it's going to be on PC, gives me some time to play it and get a little bit more familiarized so that I can get my Monster Hunter adventures going, because I'm excited for this. I really wanted to get this out of my system. It hits me right here every day that I don't have it on my Steam. But I will now, in January 12th of 2022. That's next year. Now, this one comes from the Washington Post, basically saying that Bluepoint Games was acquisitioned by Sony. So it is now a PlayStation studio, a PlayStation-owned studio. That's a good and bad thing, in my opinion. Time will tell. But I'm willing to say, when I say a bad thing, because let's get that out of the way, I don't think Sony wants them to make original IPs. I think they are signing them up to bite the dust, bite the bullet, and only make remakes. I don't think they want them to make anything new. Like, unless they really push for something new and they have something that they can bring to the table that Sony's like, yeah, that's the game. I don't think Bluepoint's gonna get that ability. I think what happens here is Sony sees the market, as every other studio does, with all these remakes and remasters, realizes that Bluepoint is the best at doing this, and signs them to an exclusive deal. People at the higher up end of Bluepoint start leaving because they can't get their creative endeavors across, and then ultimately the studio closes. That's my take. That's usually how this stuff happens anyway. I don't like the idea of Bluepoint getting bought out by Sony, but then you take on the other side, right? You take the other side, the other hand, flip of the coin, is that they're gonna make some good remakes in that time. We're gonna get some great games. You're talking about, like, as they say, 70 employees, and they've been creating games for the PlayStation platform for 15 years. Sony buying them kind of just cements the Sony brand on them. Demon's Souls is the most recent game, and I don't have it, but of course, I actually had COVID during the time that Demon's Souls and PS5 launched, so I was watching everybody stream it, and I really wanted to play it. I never played the original, but now I get to play the original, but as a remake, and it looks fantastic. I can't wait now that I have my PS5. They also made the Nathan Drake collection, and of course the Shadow of Colossus game remake that I played a bajillion times. I played the original a fulfillion times, and then I went over and played the Bluepoint version, and I was blown away. Absolutely blown away. They did that game so much justice. It can't be said enough. There's not enough energy to pretty much for me to display how much Shadow of the Colossus meant to me. And that's what they do. They are a studio of nostalgia, and I don't think they want to do that. I think Bluepoint does not want to be the nostalgia studio. They want to make new IPs. They've said it multiple times, but Sony ain't gonna give them that. Nah. Who do you think you are? You see that finger wag? Who do you guys think you are? We bought you out to do what you guys are good at. Your B&B, which is make remakes. You guys, that's what you do. And unfortunately, like I said, I think personally that in the end, Bluepoint is actually going to close down. I think Bluepoint's going to close down. I mean, you're looking at like 10 years, 15 years from now. There's no way it happens that soon. They're going to make another set of remakes for all these different games. We're going to eat them up because our nostalgia demands it so. And then eventually some of the people from the studio start leaving, and they have to scale back, and Sony's not making enough games because the console wars goes on, and they cut the studio back just to cut costs, and Bluepoint's over. That's that's a sucky story for me to tell, and I think that is actually gonna happen. So unfortunately, I don't know. Maybe I hope it doesn't, right? There's a lot of people out there that have families for this studio, I'm sure, and I'm not one to just trash any studio. I think they're a great studio, but I don't think they're going to get the ability to shine. At least not in the way that they want, the way to flourish. So, moving on. All right, here's the big news, right? Here's the big news of TGS. If it wasn't anything else Final Fantasy related, it is that Konami released a set of game dates and new IPs that they're going to be dropping. But this is the kicker. New Metal Gear Solid, Silent Hill, and Castlevania games reportedly in the works. Now, they're outsourcing to several external studios for these projects by one Akashi Regmi from Collider, talking about Konami having that fallout with Kojima, which we all were familiar with when the Video Game Awards happened and Jeff Keighley was talking his trash and the fans were all supported because who doesn't like a good rump roast, a good beef? And I was mad at it too. Genuinely, like, my favorite series of all time is Metal Gear Solid, and I don't like Phantom Pain. I don't like it. I think if you have a hollowed story, a game that was pretty much incomplete, left incomplete on purpose, by the way, which was Kojima. Yeah, the gameplay elements were great. The new open world, extremely realistic aspects of it made it a very compelling video game, and I love the gameplay portions of it, and you're constantly getting rewarded for new weapons and finding new items. That loop was awesome, and that keeps a lot of people coming back. But when you get to the end of it and you realize that it's an incomplete product, That takes away from me everything that it was supposed to be. On top of that, you find out that you were not even really playing as a Solid Snake. You were playing our big boss because Kojima didn't want that. He knew this was his last game, so he was like, fuck you, Konami. I'm not making this a Solid Snake game. This is not how Solid Snake goes out. The writing was on the wall. He had already released information on the demo, hinting at everything that was happening, the internal strife, the problems that were occurring behind the scenes. That all we saw was something beautiful. We saw the video games, and they're like, oh my gosh, like, how is this the new Metal Gear? Are you kidding me? Were we mad about Kiefer Sutherland versus David Hayter? Were we mad about Kiefer Sutherland getting the role over David Hayter pretty much for no reason, saying almost nothing, and David Hayter being very outspoken in his displeasure with not being able to voice Snake because I guess he doesn't have a facial response for the character, which you didn't even need because he had the same look on his face the entire time. Kiefer Sutherland was the most overpaid mocap person in the history of history, and that was for this game. I don't think it was necessary though. That's just something that I don't find as appealing. Now, here's the hope, right? Is that we're getting Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater, or probably a remake, or maybe a new Metal Gear in general, but we're getting Silent Hills probably as well. And we're also getting Castlevania games. Now, that's not bad. That's Sony being the intermediary between Hideo Kojima and Konami, being the mediator and saying, look, we're gonna fund the money. How about you, Konami, you guys, we give you the money, we use our studio, we use our Hideo Kojima because he's our guy, and we outsource these games. Outsource, because he's gonna be going to Hideo Kojima. And that is Konami's solution. That was the solution the whole time. You know, we knew that these 3 IPs were not gonna be sitting on the shelves for that long. Konami was banking on making probably pachinko machines based off these franchises. Sony knew that they weren't going to lose out, so they pretty much were like, hey, Konami, guys, we gotta talk. Let's have a sit down. We're gonna outsource these games. We will pay you for this product. And Konami, of course, being the business practitioners that they are, was like, yeah, for sure. Because I think they saw when it came to Metal Gear, I don't know, Zombie Edition, whatever that crappy game was, they knew that they weren't going to be able to sell a Metal Gear game or a Castlevania or a Silent Hill with all the bad strife and news and publicity that was coming out from that whole debacle with Kojima. All these beloved demos, things that were happening, canceled games. Now that they actually outsourced it, they still get to make money. Everybody gets to make money. Hideo gets to make money. PlayStation gets to make, Sony gets to make money. And Konami gets to also make money, who also probably makes the most of it, I think, if you were to look into this deal a little bit more. That's the news, guys, for this week. All right. It was a great week for news and gaming. A bad week as far as my family goes, having dealt the sickness bug this entire time. So that's why I was kind of in a lull making the videos. I couldn't find the time. I'm sitting back and forth, taking care of my kids, taking care of my girl, while also trying to take care of myself. But I can also feel a little tinge of sickness today. So hopefully I can get past this. I'm gonna take a lot of zinc, a lot of vitamin C, see if we can beat this one out. But you guys know where to find me, right? I told you in the beginning of the video, but don't forget, it doesn't look like we're gonna hit the milestone of 1,000 subs for the Corsair HS70 headset, but you can still go and sub. If we can hit 1,000 subs before the end of the year, I'm gonna have to switch it up. I'm gonna tell you straight up. It doesn't look like we're gonna be hitting the October 8th 1,000 sub milestone, but if we can hit it, let's say by the 1st, we still be sending these cans out. We're gonna be sending these headphones out regardless. These are not mine to keep. These are yours. This is whoever out there goes and sees the most recent video, comments, likes, and subs. Tell me your favorite games. Tell me what you're most excited about next year coming forward as far as games go. And you're entered. You're entered to win the Corsair HS70 headset. So please, guys, tell your friends. Retweet this. Put it on every social media that you can. Get me to 1,000 subs, and you guys are gonna be getting this headset, all right? You know how we do. You've been here before. Stay dirty, humans.